Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Above the Bar podcast, where each week we belly up to the bar with a new guest, find out what they do, who they are, and what makes them great. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. Alrighty, folks, welcome back to the Above the Bar podcast. It's your host, Sean. We are bellowing up to the day. I want everybody right now, take a deep breath in, work your breath out, do a little Zen shit. Do the like the Karate Kid pushing out on the fake walls. You get all your breath work in. If you're David, I just finished Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. I've been talking about, so you could stretch for the next 2 hours, get all your shit together. Because bellowing up to the bar to us tonight, we've got a Air Force vet, which we won't hold that against him here at the bar. You know, we try. You know, I'll tell him a funny story about that here in a minute. We got an Air Force vet, quadriplegic at one point, paraplegic at one point, breathwork. I don't know. I don't know if it's a master or a guru. He'll have to explain it all to me. But joining us from, some of you might not know this. If you knew where Lake Superior got its name, it's because it was so large at one point they thought it was an ocean. That's how big it was when they first found it. But joining us from parts unknown, what's Lake Superior, we have Mr. Leland Holgate.
What's up, brother? Good to be here, man.
What's up, brother?
So much amazing stuff, especially being here off Lake Superior. It's absolutely amazing. My God.
Like your people's is already showing up. We got little blue hearts here from
Coherent
Heart, and then Paul Santiago with some prayer hands and hearts. They're already showing up for you. Well, before we get into what you got going on, and you can tell us about being the Willful Warrior and all that, let's go ahead and get started. Get the house clean and done real quick. As always, folks, over my right shoulder is the big board for Sticker and a Cause. Maybe you've got something that you've done, something that you've supported. Maybe you had something in your life and you were able to find a process that maybe many don't realize is still out there, and you use that to heal yourself and you're supporting others. But if you got a sticker for it, reach out to me on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, TikTok, Instagram, even our email. It's all the Above the Bar podcast. I'll give you our address after we talk. We'll put the sticker up here on the big board, and then we're going to turn around and talk about whatever you got going on. So again, folks, Sticker and a Cause, reach out to us. Now, Leland and I were talking just before the show got started, and he's got a set of honeycomb shades above him because he's out in the middle of nowhere right now in Lake Superior where it gets cold. So that being said, budget blinds of East Greenbush and budget blinds of Hudson and Cooksaki, New York. Well, this month in August, they're running a special. It's buy 2 blinds, get 1 free. That's right, folks. Get 2 window coverings, and then you get your third one free of equal or lesser value. All you got to do is reach out to them. You can find them on Instagram. You can find them on Facebook, Budget Blinds of East Greenbush, Budget Blinds of Cooksaki, and you can even just Google them. But if you reach out to them and you get your window covered taken care of, they're going to give you buy 2, get 1 free. And folks, that's a free consultation for that. They do their own installation. Everything is taken care of in-house. So it's not like if you go to some of those big box stores and you think hey, look, I'm going to go ahead and get my window coverings taken care of. And they start off with the salesperson has never seen them before, and the installer is a third-party vendor. And if you ever have any issues, you're going to have to call the manufacturer. Well, guess what, folks? They're all one-stop shop in there. Even comes with a 5-year, no questions asked warranty on everything they install. So that's Budget Blinds of East Greenbush and Budget Blinds of Hudson and Cooksaki. All right, Leland, house cleaning's done. I hurried it up for you. I want you to know.
That was quite the little caveat there. Way to go.
I had to hurry that up for you. But let me tell you my Air Force story real quick. I got 2 of them. So young Lance Corporal Murphy, might have been a corporal, but I think it was a Lance Corporal. I'm out in California at an Air Force base in California. I don't even remember what base it was. I know it's decommissioned now. And they're like, hey, we got your barracks rooms over here. You're going to stay in this room. I'm used to sleeping in a barracks room with 3 other dudes, 4 wall lockers, one bathroom, single sink, and the room stayed clean. I got into this room. It was a queen size bed by myself with cable TV, my own bathroom. I'm like, this can't be right. And the other guy who was staying with me was like, dude, this is the way they live. I'm like, what? I'm like, never in my life have I ever. But my second story falls right into a guy like you. When I went out on recruiting duty in the Marine Corps, they used to tell me, hey, your biggest competition is going to be the Army. The Army was never a competition for me on recruiting. It was always the Air Force, because people who join the Air Force are looking for what they think is an extreme mental challenge. They think like, hey, they're going to make me an astronaut. I'm going to be putting together laser guns before the day's over. Like, that's kind of their mindset. And people who want to join the Marine Corps, they think we're all going to teach them how to kill someone with their thumb. And, that's this extreme mindset. But that's you. I mean, let's be honest. And I want you to tell your story, but I think I had it right. You were combat veteran in the Air Force, became quadriplegic, got, for lack of better, I don't know what else called other than got better, then became a paraplegic. But to get to where you're at, you had to do some extreme things to heal yourself. So tell everybody how you got to what happened back then.
Yeah, for sure. So, and I love this. So for those of you who don't know, the Marines and the Air Force have always had this fun kind of back and forth type of
Air
thing.
Force.
And of course, what he highlighted is epic, because whenever you stay on a Marine base, it's like staying at a Waffle House. And then when you come to the Air Force, it's like staying at the Four Eagle Steakhouse.
Right. It's like, it's more like staying at the Waffle House bathroom is what it's like.
That's even worse.
It's more along those lines.
Oh my goodness. So yeah, I joined the Air Force as a C-130 loadmaster. And to your point, funny enough, like exactly like Sean just said, is, I joined looking to possibly become a pilot at some point, or, some sort of really mentally challenging, amazing job. So joined as a C-130 loadmaster at the age of 17. I got tired of being told what to do, so I figured I'd join the military. It was the right move. So when I joined, everything changed for me, because after I went through all of the training, I started working with the Marines. I started working with Airborne Rangers. I started working with PJs and combat control, our special forces guys, right? So of course you can see where this is going. My mindset switched immediately. I was like, no, I don't want to be a pilot anymore. Don't want to be any of those other things. I want to go be a pararescueman. I want to be part of our special forces. Yeah, exactly. So that was the road that I was traveling. Thankfully, I'd at least gotten to do my SEER training, which is survival, evasion, resistance, and escape, for those of you who don't know. Also POW, or prisoner of war training. Earned my expert marksman and was pretty much set. All I had to do was go down to San Antonio, try out for my Hell Week, pass that, and boom, I was in this small, amazing club. Before that, I was tasked to go over to Yugoslavia for Operation Anvil. I'm sure you remember that one.
Heard of it. Definitely know it.
Yeah. So went over to take part in Operation Anvil. And unique experience, because as we're exiting, we're 17 miles over the Albanian border, running logistics and support missions, dropping food for refugees, all that good stuff. And on the way out, we got lit up by a SAM site. So you can imagine 8 to 10 minutes of absolute hell. Plane is yanking and banking, and you've been on a C-130. You know how that thing is. It's like a friggin' 12-point Richter scale earthquake whenever you get that big baby going. So we're yanking and banking. Everybody's looking at me like I got answers. I'm like, dude, I'm in the back here just popping chaff and flare, hoping to God we make it through this fucking thing. I got no answers for you. Trust me, I'm shitting my pants too. So we make it out of that, and that like cemented it for me. I was like, that's it, dude. I'm never going to be that helpless again. You know what I mean? Because this as a Marine, at least on the ground, I can find deflate, I can pull my weapon out, and I can fire back at you. Up in the air,
I still got a little something I can do at that point. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. At least you can answer the call. You know what I mean? For me, it was like, I felt so helpless. I had mine sitting underneath me, my M4 sitting right behind me. the hell was I going to do with it? Nothing. I'm sitting here with this pickle in my hand, popping chaff and flare out, just praying to God this thing isn't radar guided, because if so, we're screwed.
Oh, yeah.
So we get out of that. And of course that cemented it for me. I was like, that's it. I'm declaring my intention to my first sergeant. As soon as we get back, I'm going to go on my R&R, you know, get my 3 days of rest and relaxation. And I'm going down to San Antonio. I'm putting in my hell week, and I am becoming a pararescueman. So set on that one. And we decided to go out to Heber Springs, right? I was stationed at the Rock in Arkansas.
Okay.
So we go out to one of the most amazing, gorgeous lakes out there, Greer's Ferry Lake, or Heber Springs as they know it. And you know how it is. We can't do low rev shit, right? You get done with a deployment, like riding a bicycle or just
you're full of piss and vinegar at that point.
Of course. Yeah. You got to do something high rev, you know, get the haunches up after we just got out of all that situation. So we decided to get the fastest watercraft that we could find and get pulled behind it on an air tube, because that sounds like an epic idea. I mean, everybody has fun with those things anyways, but you know where our mindset was.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Well, I'm not going to do this pussy 20 miles an hour on the water stuff. Like, kick it up. Stop being a girl. Let's go, Susie. And he listened to me. He certainly did. He revved that thing all the way up as far as it could go. And the moment that I like hit those skips where it was, I don't know, probably 5 seconds in between me meeting the water, I was like, ooh, all right. Yeah, this ain't good. This ain't good. And he cut left. And the moment he cut left, I knew that was it. And it flung me like a slingshot, man. There was no holding on to that thing. And all I remember is just whop, water, blackness. And that was it. At that point, I guess everybody on the shore that had reported on it to the trooper that was on site said that the guy looked like he was a fucking folding chair for 100 yards over the water, just bop, bop, bop. I know a body shouldn't bend that way type of thing, right? And they were right. Absolutely right. Little did I know what I had done to myself. But at that moment, I was gone. Face down, I drowned. And of course, the impact on my spinal column. Yeah, it took me out. I was dead for 3 minutes and 48 seconds. So
Keep
of course,
going,
spinal impact.
Keep going, Rasputin. You got the hair and the mustache. We've been drowned. We've been a quadriplegic, paraplegic. Keep going, Rasputin. Good Lord.
I would have made an epic Marine. I swear to God.
Dude,
my dad said the same thing too. He's like, you should have just went and been a devil dog. What is wrong? So yeah, they pull me to the shore, right? Pull me to the shore, and I had one of those amazing out of body experiences.
Did you?
It was the most peaceful experience I'd ever had in my life.
You can't.
And the only reason I knew is because I described to my friends how I watched the state trooper revive me. And he didn't do like normal chest compressions, right? He gave me like 2 or 3 of these really good punches right into the chest. And then he'd used his knuckles to do this like xylophone action to get everything going. So when I told them that, they're like, how the fuck did you know that? And I was like, bro, I watched him do it. I was like just standing there watching him do it. And in that moment, it was the most peaceful experience I ever had in my life. It was no thoughts, no wants, no needs, no desires, just isness, just being. You know what I mean?
I gotta pause you on that. I gotta pause you on that for a second. I gotta pause you on that. So now having that feeling, and I mean, you're talking about a true, I don't have a better word other than Zen, complete moment where nothing else existed but you and seeing you. Coming back, what was your initial thought other than, holy shit, I'm back? Did you have any feelings like, I want that feeling back?
Yeah, for sure. And you can imagine, right? Extreme contrast. I'm now loaded into the ambulance. I've got a horse collar around my neck, and I come slamming down into my body. It was like somebody picked me up and just fucking A-frame and pile drived me right back into my body. So the moment I came back, here I am, fucking horse collar around my neck. I can only do this with my eyeballs looking left and right. And I mean, thankfully there was really no pain except for the back of my skull where the horse collar was just digging in. Right. But I come back and I hear this EMT constantly asking me, Hey, can you feel that? Hey, can you feel that? And finally, after about the third or fourth one, I'm like, dude, what the fuck are you talking about? And all I hear him say is, oh no. And of course, that's the last thing you want your paramedic to say.
You're damn.
Right. You know, it's like doctors, pilots, there's things you don't want to hear them say.
Right.
Watch this. Oh no.
Your wife, I want to talk.
Right.
It's on that list.
Yeah, exactly. So after a while, I got tired of it. I was like, dude, what the fuck are you talking about? And he's like, oh no. All right, I've been poking you everywhere with this needle. You're not feeling that? You're not feeling that. And that was it. Sheer panic and terror took over.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm 19 years old, right? I got my whole life ahead of me. I got PJ Hell Week coming up for me. Like, no. Do it again. And nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Wow.
So, and of course, it's Heber Springs. So we're out in the sticks. We're out in the fucking boonies. So there's no quick ride to the airport. I'm in this thing, or to the hospital. There's hour and a half, 45-minute trek from where we are to there, even with them speeding and guns blazing. So I just got to sit with that for like an hour and a half. And the whole time, like you said, all I could think is, can I just go back to that one spot where I was? Like, it'd be great if you could just put me back there.
Wow.
Yeah. So
no like, it wasn't like they got you halfway there in the medevac med or something like that.
No, unfortunately, in that area, it's so lush and thick with forests. There was really no places for them to land any of those medevac spaces, right? So yeah, they had to get me. They could have, but it would have been like 15 minutes from the hospital type of thing. So they were like, let's just go. Let's get him there. Plus, thankfully, I wasn't in need of anything serious. Of course, you know, everything was at least working. I was breathing, all of those things. But man, yeah, that was the longest ride I've ever had in my life. And then when we get to the hospital, they do all the scans, right? MRIs, everything else. They do the whole barrage. And same thing, doctor walks in and goes, all right, so a couple of things we have to talk about. And I'm like, God, I hate you guys and your fucking language. Like, just fucking lay it on me, doc. What the hell's going on? What is happening? When do I get my shit back? And that's when he laid it on me that there was a silver dollar-sized contusion just wrapped around the upper spinal column right at C1, C2, which is why everything shut down. So whether I was laying face down in the water or not, it still would have took me out, because bam, you hit the spinal column at C1, C2, then maybe a millimeter or two more of pressure, and I just would have snapped the cord completely, and that would have been the end of Leland at all. You know,
which one is C1, C2? I know
C1 is the first cervical vertebra,
okay,
right
that's
below. Yeah, so the very top, right below your occipital lobe, or the base of your cranium there. So right at the bottom of your skull, it's right where the brain stem is, and all of these really crucial parts. So
is that
you don't mess with that one.
Call your wind gates? Is that where like the two nerve bundles that go back to right there? Isn't that what they used to call them, like your wind gates or something like that?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that was you can imagine where I was there.
Holy
right?
Shit.
Self-loathing came in. Woe is me.
Right.
Shit, that was absolute hell. I wouldn't wish that shit on Saddam or my worst enemy at all. Like, I would never wish that on anybody in the entire universe. And at that point, you can imagine, at 19 years old, everything that I thought I wanted in my life was over. As far as what the doctor told me, there's no healing nervous tissue. I'm sorry, there's nothing we can do for this. Only the body can take care of it. You know, we can do surgery, blah, blah, blah. You know, all the things that they do, all the ways they know how to be, is what he hit me with. And of course, I wasn't doing any surgeries. I wasn't letting them cut on me or anything else. I'm already screwed. Why am I going to let you go in there and possibly fuck things up even worse? No, thank you. So at that point, I decided life was over. You can imagine, you know what I mean? I had my Marine buddies coming in to visit me. I had my Spec Ops dudes coming in to see me. And those were the guys that I was talking to. And I'd ask them, I'd be like, dude, just fucking take me out. Just please don't let me. Yeah, It was 2 days hell. It was 2 days of experiencing the lowest of lows that I've ever had in my life. Like, I did not want to live anymore. This is not the way I want to be. I don't want to be Christopher Reeves in the chair.
Right.
You know, just please take me out. And of course, I knew the spec ops guys knew. It's like, come on, you guys know poisons. You guys know all this stuff. 10 to 20 milligrams of sodium pentothal. Just let me fall asleep. I'll be fine. Thankfully, they, of course, were like, no, dude.
Fuck off, dude. Not me. I'm not doing it.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, of course, some of them being combat vets themselves are like, dude, we just got back from the war. Like, no. So it was interesting to get past that. But, you know, it was great because here's the thing, right? You know this too. The military, whether you recognize it or not, for those of you that are active duty right now, has given you universal secrets in the training that they have given us, especially when you go into some of the combat training that Marines and all these other combat veterans go into, or you do SEER and POW training. They're leveling you up to a whole new different mindset, to a whole new way of being. And that training took over, thankfully, right? So right in that second day, I started hearing everything that they're screaming at you constantly, right? 3 strikes, you're never out. There's always one more thing that you can do. Always try to evade. Always continue to try to escape. You're not forgotten. We are coming for you. All of these things like really started kicking back in for me. And in the moment the doctor walked back in and he wanted to do the whole managing expectations speech that they're programmed to do, right? So he walks in and starts with that whole shit. And I was just immediately as loud as I could. People on the other side of the hospital probably heard me. They probably heard me on the fucking base. I was like, fuck no, doc. And the moment I said, fuck no, my brachial plexus lit up, right? This cluster of nerves right here in your shoulders that feeds down into everything else. And I got this little whoop of energy traveled up my neck. And I was like, oh, okay. Something's happening here. You're telling me things are impossible, but there's something happening here. Doc, do me a favor and get the fuck out.
You actually felt it?
Yeah, it was like this little charge of energy, right? You know that chill that you get that travels up your spine when something good happens, or, you know, your spidey senses are tingling? That happened from my shoulders up. And I was like, oh, okay, hold on a second. What the fuck was that? So, of course, I asked the doctor to exit stage left and do me a favor, send in my friends. I got some things to talk about. So from that point forward, you can imagine I really dug in on the possibility of not staying the way that I was, especially given that just 24 hours ago, it's not his fault, but
right,
you know, the douche walks in and tells me all these things, and I'm like, fuck, all right, he's trained to do this. There has to be something more than this. They're not always right. They don't always have it figured out. Like, there's got to be something else that can happen. So that right there just settled in a whole new way of being for me and opened up the possibility that this is not how I'm fucking staying the rest of my life. So check this out. For fucking the smallest, and you know this with the military, right? Smallest of probability. The physical therapist that walked in the next day was an Ashtanga yogi. Tell me the possibility.
Okay, so what you gotta tell me what
a yoga teacher.
An actual yogi, not,
yeah, like an actual yoga teacher. So Ashtanga is a form of yoga,
okay,
and he is a yoga teacher. Like, that's what he does besides physical therapy.
Gotcha.
So in 1999, the military gives me a physical therapist that's a yogi on top of everything. I'm like, get the fuck out of here. How does that work? And I didn't recognize how substantial that was until he started doing all the physical therapy with me. Right. So, and get this, he walks in and the first thing he says to me is, I know this is going to sound a little strange, but we're going to work through some yoga and your physical therapy. And I just roll my eyes. I'm like, dude, if I could move my legs right now, I'd fucking kick you in the throat. Yoga. Do you understand who you're talking to, doc? Like, are you looking at me? How am I going to do yoga? And that was when he started imparting on me that yoga is 95 to 98% breath work. It's called pranayama, breath control, right? It's all mindset work and breath and controlling things internally. It's not the hot 22-year-old on a Lululemon mat, you know, holding a wicked warrior one pose or whatever else.
Hey. There's nothing.
I know. I don't want to take that away from you. Go ahead and keep that.
So, you know, what's funny is, and I want to add this into it. Obviously, I was never at your point. I have a bulging L3, L4 and protruding L4, L5, which was kind of the end of my career because I couldn't run anymore without you know, being put up for a while. But the greatest thing I ever did for my body that helped me, and my wife and I were just talking, I've got to get back into it. COVID kind of knocked me out of it, was hot yoga.
Boom.
Like I'm all about, I don't know about anybody else, but for me, yoga needs to be at like 9. Like, I'm going to ask this question. And I was just thinking about this. When you PT, if you're not sweating, do you feel like it's worthless?
Yeah, absolutely. Like if I
if
wasn't getting
you're
my
not
ass
sweating,
kicked,
okay, so the yogi, I can't remember what you said. The name of it is Ashwani,
Ashtanga.
Oshkosh Bagosh yogi. The Oshkosh Bagosh yogi turns around and starts working with you. What type of, you know, and obviously some people who know nothing about yoga are going to be like, what was he in downward dog? Ha 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 ha. But like, what kind of things, you know, in that kind of a situation? Because I also think that in my mind, I think they have to still be very cautious with the movement of your spine. So what type of things were they able to do with you to help get that blood flow working and getting those things going?
Yeah, great question. Great question. Yeah, they do. They have to be really cautious, especially in the area of impact, right? So no huge neck bends or anything like that while the tissues are allowing themselves to heal. But mostly what he focused on was at least moving my extremities, getting the arms moving to help fight the atrophy, you know, opening up little bandhas or lock points, they call it in yoga, working me through some acupuncture and massage and everything to awaken nerve endings, all of that good stuff. So it's pretty much all he could use. But the main thing that he used, the only real tool, 90 to 95% of everything we did was this breath work. That's
Feeling
exactly all I could do.
feeling the swirling breath in the back of your throat.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I
Good.
mean, he was teaching me all kinds of cool shit, right? That was where I learned all the alternate nostril breathing and
Oh,
all
can
of
you
these
do
other
that?
things. What's that?
Can you do that? I can't.
I couldn't. He had to do it for me, of course.
I've done all
But
those
I
things.
do it. Yeah, it's a great way. Like if you inhale through your left nostril, you're activating your right brain. So the creative brain, it's kind of like putting the brakes on, right? If you're breathing inhale through your right nostril, you're activating the gas pedal. It's more of the logical brain. So there's all kinds of different things that you can do with breath work. And I had no idea at that point.
No, I
So
didn't even know. I've never heard that one. So how long, and you know, like I know, so where they took you to, the hospital they took you to, that wasn't I know they gave you a physical therapist, but where they took you to, that wasn't a military hospital, though, was it?
no, it was Little Rock General. Yeah.
So how long were you there? Because I know the way they can be
Yeah.
with the DOD before they're
Yeah.
like, okay, you've been here about 3 days. We need to go ahead and get you to a base hospital where like Irma is the only nurse, and she can be like, well, listen, son, I've been around these bases for a long time. I know how to fix you up, no problem. I've got a
With the
shot of
cigarette
whiskey
hanging out of her
with
mouth.
cigarettes hanging out, dangling the whole time. And she's like, I can give you 2 Motrins a day and we'll fix anything. Don't worry about it. But like, how long were you actually in that hospital before they did try to move you, or did they let you get to, like, how long were you there before they were like, all right, you got to come back to base and like deal with a base hospital?
2.5 weeks. 2.5 weeks. Because I probably would have stayed longer, but because of everything that we were doing, I had regained about 50% of at least the sensation. I didn't have fine motor functions back.
Okay.
I couldn't lift my elbows quite, to that point, but I at least started feeling the trunk of my body. I could feel sensations moving down my arms.
That's incredible.
So it was magical stuff. Like serious. The first time we did the breath work, right? So the first one that I told you when I just screamed fuck no at the doc went up. Now the next one, we did the first breath session where it's like this 30 round of, and I can take you through like a short express in here in a little bit when you feel
Yes,
like
please.
it, so you can feel it. But just in a 30 breath cycle, which is 30 inhales and exhales, and then a hold at the top. And when I held at the top, holy shit. For anybody that's done 5-MeO, DMT, any of the amazing psychedelics that are out there, It's exactly what happened. And of course, it was a little bombastic at first. I mean, I'm a 19-year-old freaking combat guy. I don't know about these things. So the world starts turning, like these amazing feelings start happening. And then all of a sudden, that same feeling I got that traveled up my neck started traveling down to the tip of my shoulder blades. And I was like, what the fuck? What is happening? What did you just do? Can we do more?
I hope you stayed in contact with this person.
I actually lost contact with him because, back this is what, 23, 99. No, Jesus, I can't do math right now. I should be able to do math. But, this is 24 years ago. So I didn't recognize just the power this guy was tapping me into. I'm almost positive, though, if I go, how the military is, unless things have gotten worse.
Look,
I'm hoping I can still find him because that's in my intention, that I want to find this guy and make sure he knows what he helped fucking create. You know what I mean?
There's 14 of you watching right now. We already know that the person was a physical therapist in Arkansas at Little Rock General Hospital, that they had a yogi background and did physical therapy. There is no reason on God's green earth that, and we know it was 24 years ago. We can tell when the person worked at the hospital. There is no reason that the power of the Above the Bar podcast cannot reach out and find somebody out that way in Arkansas that could figure out what this person is, unless they were dealing with a Clinton, which means they're probably in the bottom of a lake somewhere.
Yeah, they're in a barrel somewhere.
But that's a totally different story. So I'm going to challenge everybody right now. Do that for Leland. Let's figure out who that person was. And I mean, like I said, there's enough of us out here right now just watching before we even drop this thing to the podcast side of it. And there's another, there's 2,200 people that follow me. So I think one person could find them.
Yeah. So, somebody out there's got to find them, and they know people that know people.
Right. There's 6 degrees of separation. So 2.5 weeks you're out there. I'm just blown away by you got 50% sensation back. Yeah. After the doctor's like, so catheter, we're probably going to be talking, colostomy bags and all these other things. And here it is. We're talking 50% back afterwards. Now, did they, I'm going to question about this. So how much of that, it is the Air Force, I guess you're kind of in shape, but you did different stuff. You were getting ready to be a PJ. I'll give you that. But how much of that did they attribute, like, hey, because you were in a great physical shape? Yeah. Did they attribute also, like, hey, this is part of the recovery process?
As far as like the breath goes?
Well, yeah, like saying, like, hey, luckily your body's physicality, even though it's damaged, adding this other piece to it, they're working together.
Right. Yeah, that, based on everything that, of course, they know and go off of, they considered me a spontaneous healing and attributed it, just like you said, to peak performance shape before the accident, blah, blah, blah. So just kind of bowled right over what the breath work would have done, because the doctors weren't even really cognizant that was happening. That was just something between me and my physical therapist. So, yeah. So as far as they were concerned, it was the physical therapy and the shape that I was in before the accident that just led me to a spontaneous healing. Yay, I get all my stuff back.
Look, it's like magic.
Yeah, butterflies and rainbows.
So you're back on base. You're 2.5 weeks. I don't want to miss any of this. So you recover from here, and you're considered as a quadriplegic still, even though you have movement back. So when do we fall into and look, folks, I want you all to go look into what Leland's got going on. He is the Willful Warrior. If you look him up on Instagram, it's Willful Warrior. LinkedIn, it's Willful Warrior. If you look up on Facebook, it's the Willful Warrior. And if I had like, there's a lot of W's in that, bro. Like, there's a lot going on with there. But make sure you look up what Leland's got going on. He's got all this happening. He's also got some other things we're going to talk about. I want to get to all of it. So we get through that. Now, what happens that you become a paraplegic?
Yeah. So that happened within about 2.5 months. So within about 2.5 months, I was able to at least lift my elbows. I could flip my hands, which is funny. Dana's probably watching us right now, and she's noticed like they've gotten better, but they're called quad flippers. You know, you can't really do anything with them. But I could.
Sorry. How many
Yeah.
times in the service did you? Oh God, did you ever talk? We'll talk about that. There's a term and I can't use it. God, I can't use it. This is one of those things, folks, that I would love to let you behind the military curtain for a moment, but you have to have served to understand that level of humor that we all have for each other. Like when I call some of my best friends and I'm like, "Hey, what's up, fat ass?" And it's like not in any way, shape, or form a horrible thing. He's the same guy that if he called me up and said, "Hey, look, man, we got to bury a body," I'd be like, "Oh, no way." But I also refer to him as a fat ass every time we talk. So, okay. So you got your movement back 2.5 months. We're now paraplegic.
Yeah. Well, funny enough, I had feeling and sensation down to almost my ankles in the first 2.5 months. So I wasn't, I guess, technically still a paraplegic, even though I wasn't really paralyzed from the waist down. Wasn't able to walk on my own just yet. But the fact that I could move my elbows and I could like at least move my trunk, you know, my neck was starting to get some really good mobility. I mean, I was already blown away. And of course, everybody else was at the medical facilities and anybody that I was dealing with, they were just blown away by how fast I was recovering and pulling out of this thing. And so it went on like that for a while. And you can imagine I dug in like a fucking tick, right? I'm doing breath work like 7, 8 times a day. There were plenty of times, and this has happened before, even the incident we'll talk about later on, the paraplegic incident, right? The head-on car crash. But there were plenty of times like nurses would come in and my eyes are rolling into the back of my skull and I'm doing the flipping chicken and they're hitting cold blue. Like, everybody get in here right now. And I'd come out like, bro, I'm trying to breathe. And they're like, oh my God. Whew, you have me worried there. So there were, I mean, I dug in so much that, yeah, they finally got used to that. But the first couple of times they walk in on me like, doing this thing after breath work and shit, they think I'm fishing out and dying, but no, I'm just high on my own supply, bro. Let me go. Yeah. So it was quite the experience, man. And took me 2 years to get to the point where I could at least walk. I mean, I still used a cane occasionally because, you know, every now and then I'd have pain or neuropathy, which is numbness and tingling and nerve issues and lower extremities. But the fact that I walked away or limped away from it in 2 years, I'm okay with that. It was absolutely epic for me. So it was at least back to some level of normalcy within 2 years after the accident.
Let me answer this question for you because Nate's one of my good friends. He's a horrible fantasy football picker. He loses all the time, but he asked, "What's your favorite MRE meal?" I can answer that for you, Nate. He's never had one. He's never had one. He's in the Air Force. He's never seen one.
I have, thankfully.
He thinks MRE is meal return to entree. Like it wasn't cooked right or something. Never had one.
I love it. I fucking love it. My favorite was the spaghetti and meatballs, and of course, aside from the meals themselves, like I would crack out on the dried fruit, bro. Like I would do anything for that dried fruit. I don't know why I like that shit.
What year did you go in?
97.
Okay, so I'm 94, so we're right around the same wheelhouse. For me, it was beef stew.
Ooh.
And the first time I ever had it warmed up was completely accidental because it was in the top of my pack. This was before MRE heaters in the MREs. It was just happened to be in the top of my pack, so it heated up that way, and it was amazing. But if you could get the MRE beef stew, trade for the jalapeno cheese, and then you broke your crackers up and put them in there with the bottle of Tabasco, and then mix it all together, brother, I will put that meal up against some real, like, legit, like, beef stew gourmet ass shit. But I loved the 4 fingers of death. That was the Frankfurters, the 4 fingers of death. Dude,
Yeah. Congratulations. You're going to be in the bathroom for the next 12 months.
Locked up, like you were locked up. They came out the same way they went in. They were locked up. But so we get you're good, 2.5 years, you're moving along. You can move now, and then the car accident.
Yeah, well, there was a whole bunch of messy middle in between there, because of course you can imagine from all the stress like we come back with. What does the VA do to us? Here's 13 pills. I hope these work well with you, right?
Yeah.
They're probably gonna do really good things for you.
Right.
So inevitably they weren't enough. I needed more. I couldn't stay in that zombie state by myself. I couldn't sleep by myself. So I turned to street drugs. Heroin, meth, you name it, give it to me. What's going to help me knock this shit out? What can I put up my nose to wake me up? What can I shoot in my veins to put me down? And alcoholic, of course, as well, because those two just go hand in hand. So that was a good 10 years of my life just vacuumed right out of me. Drinking and drugs and everything else I could do to run from what was happening on the inside, all the things that, especially that last event, right? You can imagine that shit was seared into my mind. Like, there's nowhere I can go. I don't know what to do. I can't shoot back. What the fuck? So that finally came out of that. And when I came out of that in 2016, Pops was an Army Ranger, moved Delta. And he decided that it was time to tap out. So he was one of our 44 a day. Now 44 a day.
Your dad was.
Yeah. So he opted out, and that hit me pretty deep. Of course, that one put me into a bit of a spiral. And if that wasn't enough, the month later, diagnosed with colon cancer stage 2. So 2016 was a pretty damn heavy year for me. Wow. That was a pretty rough one to get through. I just came back from being a crackhead, like literally, heroin addict, an alcoholic, made my way back, crawled out of the fucking trenches with my elbows and nubs. And, Dad decides that it was time to leave. And then a month later, diagnosed with something that, essentially would have put me in that same helpless zone, because they want to do the let's cut 6 feet out of your colon and make a J turn so you're pissing and shitting in a bag for the rest of your life. That sounds epic. Let's do that right now. Radiation, chemo, all the things that they would move through to take care of this.
Poison your body to take out another poison.
Yeah, exactly. Let's kill everything to kill the cancer. That sounds good. So you can imagine what I gave the answer on that one. That was a very emphatic.
We can go pound stand with that.
Yeah, exactly. So that was actually, funny enough, the biggest turning point in my life, and why I am where I am right now and doing the things that I'm doing to support our brothers and sisters and bring them out of the fucking trenches that we fall into at post-military. Because it led me right back. It led me right back to my yoga practice. It led me right back to my breathwork practice. All these things that I had kind of just put on the shelf because I was busy doing drugs and getting drunk. So I dug in again, just like I did in the hospital, and just started going through. I was studying neuroscience and psychology then, because I wanted to understand. I knew why I did what I did in 99. I knew why I walked again, but I wanted to know how. And I'm always been one of those guys that wants to take apart Dad's drill, figure out how it works, type of shit.
Why is all my tools broken?
Gnomes.
No, gremlins, Dad. Gremlins.
Yeah, so it's it dug me back in a big way, right? So became a yoga instructor, studying neuroscience and psychology, and now I'm finally getting to the point where I'm working on my master's and then going for the doctorate after that, actual double doctorate in neuroscience and psychology, and dug me in a big way. So you would think, sweet, he's got at least 12 books in there. I think that's enough. He can probably move on and do some cool shit with that, right?
Right.
No. Universe said, how about one more? Just one more. I promise. Maybe no more after this.
One more time.
Yeah, exactly. One more again. let's knock you down a couple of pegs.
We'll Rochambeau you for it one more time.
Right. So yeah, 2019, I did, and get this, right? I go into full remission. So happy, right? So happy. Go into full remission, working through my Ayurvedic diet and yoga and putting RSO up my butt. Like, don't tell anybody.
So what's that?
It's Rick Simpson oil. It's THC and CBD. And whenever you take it rectally, it actually travels up your hemorrhoidal vein and hits you right in the liver. So it just purifies everything inside of the body. Not to mention you get super high.
Hold on. So there's two things that's hilarious about that. First off, I used to work with a guy when I worked at Amtrak named Rick Simpson. So that's even funnier to me.
That's epic.
That's even funnier to me because the Rick Simpson I know loves to travel and is getting ready to retire from the railroad. And maybe when he retires, he'll do that. But so is this something? So, okay. You gotta pause.
I know this just opened up a whole new world.
Because you hear these stories of like people doing drugs rectally, and THC and stuff like that. So, like, is it in a suppository? Are you like rolling a joint? Like, I don't know.
He's just putting it up there and lighting it.
Like I use raw, so it's like it's good. It's all natural. Like, where do you buy that at?
You unfortunately, well, there are places now that you can buy it, right? Medical marijuana patients can buy them. I made it. I had a good friend of mine who owned a dispensary. His name is Ruckus, and he was magic at this stuff. He knew how to create like you take purified coconut oil, and then you take it. It was about 1 gram worth of, and Rick Simpson oil is essentially you take a whole pound of weed and you cook it down with alcohol and high levels of heat. And the oil that drips out of it is the purest form of THC and CBD that you can pull out of it, right? So I would be mixing that stuff. Look at that. There's Megan. What's up, gorgeous?
So I was actually laughing at Coherent Heart saying, suck it up.
Suck it up, like literally.
Like physically. Now, who's Megan? Who's Megan?
Megan that's my queen. She's quite amazing, and she's a cannabis scientist. She is like,
we're gonna get you on the show, Megan, because
you've got to hear her story. Not to mention, she's one of our MS warriors. She's been kicking MS's ass for the past few years. Like, she was bedridden, couldn't walk, and now walking, yoga instructor, taking care of other people, helping them heal. So definitely want her on your show for sure. She'll be a good one to interview.
I've got 6 plants outside right now.
Hey,
and you can smell it. I have almost 3 acres, and you can smell it all over my yard.
I love it. I love it.
Vanilla cream or some shit like that.
Yeah, we'll have to come visit you.
Yeah, come on, bro. Like, this is the first time I've ever grown. First time I've ever grown. Nothing's budded yet. Probably the tallest one's about 4.5 feet tall.
Nice.
And then, but mine are all outside. Everybody's like, don't do it outside, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, God put it outside. I can put the shit outside.
That's where the shit grew naturally before, right? I think it works.
I'm sorry that my shit isn't at like 300 THC level. It's only going to be at 12. I'm the guy who, like, when somebody's like, you want to hit? I'm like, I take 1, no more than 2, and I'm done. I'm done.
That's me too. I'm a lightweight, dude.
These people that are like, you're a lightweight. I'm like, okay,
great. I'm a cheap date. Why are you? I mean, come on.
Have you ever had a Betty's Eddy? You ever had Betty's Eddies?
Betty's Eddy. What is a Betty's Eddy?
Bro, listen to me. This show's going to go over an hour, folks. If you're hanging out, we're going over an hour. I don't give a shit. Betty's Eddies is a brand name that I wish they just made candy.
Yeah.
Because they have like nighttime and other flavors. But they're like, I get the 5 milligram nighttime ones that also have melatonin in them for sleep. And I promise you, flavor wise, they're the best flavored candy. They're like a saltwater toffee almost.
Nice,
bro. So good. So good. So we're off track here for a minute. So I'm supposed to we were supposed to close the bar up here, but we're probably going to go over, folks. So you've got this stuff. You're getting yourself back in order. And then all of a sudden 2019 hits and
Yeah, so 2019, I get the great news, full remission. There's no tumor left. There's nothing. My numbers have bottomed out. Everything looks great. So I'm moving on with life, and I'm out and I'm doing my Uber thing because I was an Uber driver back then while building the nonprofit and everything else that is what it is now. And I look, it's one of those things where you didn't answer or pick up the phone, but at least the ding made you look at it, right?
Right.
So the ding went off. I got a text message. I look over just to see who it was. And then the moment I look back, all I can remember is, oh, fuck. Boom. Head on car crash. Some douchebag dingleberry thought it would be a great idea to try to take a right-hand turn from the left-hand turn lane in the middle of traffic while there's a green light for the people that are driving. Like, yeah, oh my God. This is why they put warning labels on shit. People like them.
Right.
So,
yeah,
in
the shower.
I come to, and you can imagine where my head was, right? Combat vets like us. I come to, and all I can smell is fucking gunpowder. And there's ringing going in my ears. Like,
really? Gunpowder?
Flashbang. The airbags.
Oh, the airbag. Gotcha.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So I got the ringing in my ears. The car is moving. I'm like, what the fuck? Am I back in back? What's happening right now? Like, who's shooting at me? So I finally come to, and I recognize, wow, well, there's my engine. It's sitting in the passenger chair. That's interesting. My legs are kind of trapped. They're not squoze underneath the steering wheel, but they were at least trapped. It was hard for me to move them, right? So the firefighter shows up and has to pry the door open. He gets me to the point where he can at least pull me out. And when I try to put my legs down to the ground, notice that I'm limp as a noodle, and down to the ground I go.
Wow.
And the moment that happens, he gave me this like look of fear. And I'm like, you don't have to say anything, bro. Fucking kidding me right now.
Did you tell him that you had already gone through this once before in your life?
We did. Once they got me on the gurney and they put me into the ambulance and started carting me off to Desert Springs Hospital. Yeah, that was the conversation that we had, because you can imagine I was I had some righteous indignation going on. I was fucking pissed. I was mad.
Like, that's a different kind of pissed. That's not like, oh my God, that's like, you motherfuckers again.
Yeah. Give me a puppy. I'm gonna kick it right now. That mad. And I love puppies.
So you're up at, so now you're in the hospital again. It's time to recover again.
Yeah.
How quick does it take you to revert back to, hey, breath work got me through it the first time, let's get at it again?
Immediately. I was doing breath work in the fucking ambulance.
Really?
Yes, I was. I even looked at one of them. I was like, don't mind me. I'm going to do a little cyclic hyperventilation right now. And the guy just gives me a wink. I was like, all right, I'm going to do this. So I did a round on the way to the hospital. I was like, no. Nope. This is not happening. Wow. So yeah, immediately checked in with that. And in 2017, while I was, going through my cancer journey, a friend of mine gifted me the book Becoming Supernatural. So I also had Dr. Joe Dispenza's amazing meditations and like information about the possibility and all of these other things that I had studied from neuroscience and psychology on the possibility of what you can fucking do with yourself. Never listen to a doctor when they tell you what you're capable of. You know what I mean? Like, they are not the ones that can tell you what you can do. I promise you that. I am proof of that. Megan is proof of that. So many people that we know that are here with us right now are proof of that. So I had his meditations and my breath work. And again, you can imagine I scared the shit out of the hospital staff for at least the first 2 days.
I bet.
In and I'm doing my thing, or they walk in a breath hold, and there I am doing the flipping chicken shit. And they're like, trying to figure it out. But they came around to that really quick. And on that one, thankfully, not a big, long story on this one. This one took me 7 months to come back from, because I already had this. I already knew
what you needed to do.
Exactly. I was like, don't worry, I got this. Doc started talking about and all his things. And I'm like, Doc, do me a favor. I understand you got to go through the spiel, but just save your breath. Save your breath, dude. Save it. I got this.
You should have
Do me a
made
favor, kill the pain with drugs for right now and bring me my food. That's all I need you for.
Bring me my Motrin. I need Motrin.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm a service member. I only take Motrin.
And for all of you that don't know, in the military, you break your arm or some sort of serious injury, like no shit. 800 milligrams of Motrin. Take like 3 of these every, what, 2 to 3 times a day. You'll be fine in a week.
Bro, I'll tell you a sidebar story, and I never knew this till I was probably 25, 27 years old. Joined when I was 17, went to boot camp. My ex-wife said something. She was like, I was like, yeah, I got a little headache. Can you grab me 2 Motrin? And she's like, oh, okay. Grabs the Motrin bottle and goes, you want 2 of these? I'm like, yeah, I got a headache. Give me 2 Motrin. She goes, these are 800 milligrams. That's 1,600 milligrams of Motrin. I'm like, okay. I don't like it because I didn't know any better. Right. I was a kid when I joined them. They told me take 2.
Yep.
And I took 2. And I had no idea that, like, when you went to the store and you got regular Motrin, they were 200 milligrams. And you take
little babies.
I'm like taking 1,600 milligrams of Motrin and like, fuck it, let's go. Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
You got this. Creighton says, playing with his 60 seconds to freedom technique has completely changed my life. What is that?
Yeah, brother. You know what? If you want, let's take a quick pause. It literally takes a minute.
All right, let's
do it. Like, go ahead. I know you can do your little Zen music thing in the background or whatever.
I don't like the closest here that I got. I got that. Or wait.
Yeah, that won't work.
How about this one? That's about the best I got, man.
All right. We'll do it without the music. It's fine. We don't need the music anyway.
I don't have any. Like, hold on.
It's all good.
Okay, Google, play yoga music.
Here's a Pandora station called Yoga Music Radio.
Can you hear it?
No. Yeah, it's all good. It's all good. You're gonna get this off of the breath anyways. So here's how we're gonna do this. All right, you're gonna breathe, and this is a warrior's breath. All right, it's not a
warrior. Okay.
It's a warrior's breath. In and out through the nose. All right, leave the neck and shoulders alone. Breathe from the belly, from the diaphragm, where we're supposed to breathe. Right, and it'll sound like this. You guys can try it with me. There we go. Anybody that just tried that, you could feel the switch already, right? So we're going to do 10 of those. Inhales and exhales, 10 of them. And then on the 11th one, we're going to hold it at the top. And you'll see me counting with my fingers, letting you know once we get to 10, I'll point, breathe in all the way to the top, and just hold your breath, but also let go of tension. Super important. Let your shoulders drop. Just let go of your mind and prepare for the journey. All right?
Got the journey music going. You should be able to hear it now.
Okay, yeah, I got you. Beautiful. All right. So just close your eyes for a moment. Let your hands rest on your knees or on the chair, wherever you are. And just take 2 nice deep breaths, filling up nice and slow. Then naturally just emptying out. And another one. Let it go. Now slowly breathe into the top, all the way up, all the way, and hold. Breathe in all the way and hold. Hold the breath. Let go of tension. Remember, in and out through the nose. Exhale all the way out through your mouth. In through the nose, out through the nose. In through the nose, out through the nose. In through the nose, out through the nose. Breathing with that sound and power. Just continue to inhale and exhale. No pauses in between. Just continue to breathe. You're almost there. Just a couple more. And now breathe in all the way up and hold. All the way up, all the way up and hold. Hold the breath. Let go of tension. Notice the ride. And then very slowly start to exhale. Sink in. Notice that shift. Notice the wave of energy moving through your body. And when you're ready, slowly start to wiggle your fingers, bringing all that back to here and now. When you're ready, you can come on back. How about that?
Pause. Bro, that was pretty fucking intense. Like
that's what
you
did to me.
So I actually felt like at some point. Hold on, Google, stop. Okay, pause. Like Google had to take a piss or something for a minute. But I actually like things got brighter around my eyes at one point. That's wild.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So
Paul's over here saying Leland truly saved my life from suicide a month ago with his breath work. So thank you, brother.
I love you so much, Paul. It's my pleasure, bro. Thanks for allowing me to be part of it. So there's a group called Heroic Path to Light, run by a devil dog. His name is Justin Lepre, and he went on a psilocybin journey himself because he was one just like us who had the gun in his mouth, ready to go. He was done, couldn't do it anymore, and plant medicine saved his life. So I had the honor to co-facilitate a psilocybin, breathwork, and BUFO, which is 5-MeO-DMT, journey for 9 combat veterans and some first responders, which he's also a first responder as well, because you know how it is. Most first responders are vets anyways.
And that's about as extreme as you're going to get. And Crichton says we do it together every 30 minutes. So like this is like that's interesting.
Yeah. So, and if you think about it, that's microdosing. You're microdosing on your own endogenous psychedelic chemicals that you have inside of your body. So yeah, we have a group on WhatsApp of over 100 people that every 30 minutes they'll just hop into a Zoom room together and do 60 seconds to freedom.
That's wild. So, brother, and we're not even touching your non-for-profit yet. Give me the non. I mean, we're over an hour right now. Give me the non-for-profit. Like this to me. So, and one after the show. See, this is why I wish I could record after the show.
Yeah,
because DMT. I'm not a psychedelics guy. I feel like I'm the guy who would take psychedelics and lose his shit, and then like you would be like, "Hey, cut his eyelids off and fucking sucked his nose right off his own face." Like I'm that guy. Because I can't, like, I'm not good with drugs. I'm not a good drug guy.
Yeah.
I'd have never made a good drug addict. Because you know why? I'd have spent half the time trying to haggle with the dealer. Like, look, man, I know you're trying to say this is a 20 rock, but I'm saying this is 15. I've got 10, but I'll give you 7. Like, that's me. Like, I could never do it.
Yeah.
But seriously though, so tell me about the non-for-profit. Because I mean, you've got brother, I'm gonna tell you right now, I get a lot of people that have good followers, but I mean, you've had upwards of 15 plus people just to hear you talk.
I love it. Yeah, it's Warriors for Life America is our nonprofit side, and then we have Willful Warrior on the for-profit side, and they are married together. And we are now partnered with amazing organizations like Heroic Path to Light, Church of Sacred Synthesis, which Megan is also one of the facilitators and leaders in that organization. So there's a whole bunch. We are interconnected with some amazing organizations that are geared towards taking care of our brothers and sisters, especially like military veterans, first responders, which Paul is both, by the way. I'm telling him what you were, bro. So you know it's coming from a Marine. He was Coast Guard.
Hey, my son was in the Coast Guard. That's all right. Look, my son was a puddle pirate.
And yeah, there it is. I knew it was coming.
And the reality of it is I've never known a group to deploy more. Like I thought Marines deployed and Navy deployed a lot.
Yeah.
My son was in the Coast Guard, and it was like every other week. I'm like, "So you're back home?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm home, Dad." And then I'm like, "Where the fuck is my kid at for last 2 weeks?" And all of a sudden I'd be like, "Where have you been?" He'd be like, "Oh, we were down in South America. We were doing this." My favorite story from him is like, he sends me a picture and he goes, "Dad, look at this. It's like 400 and some million dollars worth of drugs."
Whoa.
He's like, "Look at this, Dad. This is the biggest bust this boat has ever had." I'm like, "That's incredible." And then I went, "Hey, son, what happened to it?" He goes, "I don't know. The DEA took it away." I said, "That shit's back on the streets because guess what, son? I ain't heard a single news report about junkies couldn't get their fix." And he's like, yeah, that's
Yeah.
probably about right. But hey, Paul, I love you know what the funny part about Puddle Pirates is, though, Leland? I got to tell you this one. God, I normally stop shows by now. But funny part about Puddle Pirates is my son was big about this. He's 27 right now. He loved telling me, "Dad, Coast Guard boot camp's as hard as Marine Corps boot camp." I'm like, "What?" I'm like, "What?" He goes, "Yeah, it was a Marine that actually came up with the Coast Guard process for boot camp. Just as tough." I'm like, "Son." I mean, and then I went to New Jersey where their boot camp was. I was like, "No, kid, no. This is a nice place. It's not,
It's not a Waffle House bathroom.
it's not a Waffle House bathroom where you sleep for fucking hours upon end." But Paul, brother, I'm glad to hear you're doing it. So what is the goal of your nonprofit? Like, I hear a lot about like some alternative medicines. You called it plant-based medicine, some alternative stuff there, which I find DMT completely fascinating because there are some folks that will tell you that DMT is like physically unlocking other dimensions.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on? I got to ask you, like, I again, never done it, know nothing about it. There's a comedian, Ari something, I can't think of his last name. He talks about going on an 8-minute DMT trip, but in his mind, he was living in an underwater world for 6 months, met a woman, fell in love, and came out of it and had problems breathing oxygen because he was so used to being like a fish person kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
It's amazing. For one, dimethyltryptamine is already in you. It's produced when you're you have it inside of your adrenals and inside of your lungs. It's all throughout your body, but the highest concentration of it, it's inside of your lungs. Why do you think you felt the way that you did? You got a small little DMT trip. That's exactly what's happening whenever you do the breath, is you're moving cerebral spinal fluid up and down, and you're just dinging your pineal gland over and over and over again, which will help to activate that process. So, and last night, it was Lionsgate, and that's a whole energetic thing. We won't get into that. But anyways, I went on a 5-MeO trip myself last night. Several.
What's a 5-MeO trip?
So 5-MeO DMT is like the strongest form of DMT. So these, like last night, whenever we went in, I don't know, it was easily a good 10-minute, absolutely gorgeous. And he's telling you the truth. Like, you're seriously unlocking dimensions. Last night, actually, my dad has been with me a lot, right? I can feel him around. And last night it's a very healing ceremony, especially when done in the way that we do it. It's not just we're sitting around, hey, let's do some drugs. It's all ceremony. Yeah, right. Yeah, it's ceremonial. There's people holding space for you so that you can let go. People scream, they cry, they roll. They are letting go and releasing trauma of not just their own, but trauma of generations, right? And that's one thing we know in neuroscience and psychology, and also epigenetics, is you're already an egg in your great grandmother. You're already there. So all of that stuff that your lineage has gone through is passed down through those genes. And when you do this work, you're quite literally unlocking that DNA. You're unlocking that trauma, not just for yourself, but for the generations before you. So it's a gorgeous and beautiful experience, especially ceremonial. I bawled my fucking eyes out last night because I could just feel in there it goes, start welling up, but I could feel my dad with me, and he was so at peace because I'm doing the work for him, for my ancestors, for us as the consciousness. And it's absolutely liberating and gorgeous to watch, like Paul and everyone else that went through their own ceremony. Like, dude, there's nothing more magnanimous and beautiful to me than to watch them go through their experience. And he's now a first responder, like a search and rescue guy, right? That runs dogs. So of course, from one traumatic job to another traumatic job, you can imagine he's been racking up the trauma for decades. But just to watch the difference in his face and the other faces from our combat veterans, the Marines and our Army guys and everything else was gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. And it's a life-changing experience that I'm super honored to be a part of and to help lead all of our brothers and sisters through. And in fact, we'll get you in one of these ceremonies eventually, if that's something that you
I would be interested. I will tell you right now, I'm a bitch. I'm a straight bitch.
Okay.
Because I'm the guy who's like, I didn't, because I come from, and I have no problem in telling my trauma. So I was the kid that my parents divorced at 11 because my dad was a cokehead and a dealer. And we owned a liquor store and a bar. In the 80s, Coke wasn't addictive. It's the new Coke, because the old Coke wasn't addictive. But that was my dad, and I love my father to death. And he eventually kind of, got through that and fixed himself. My father passed away in 2017, had a heart attack, but hard drugs outside of marijuana have always scared me because it's like, I don't know what's in, like, I don't know how my body would react, and I'm ultra scared that I would like it.
You're definitely going to like it.
Does that make sense? Like I would,
it does. It does.
That I would like it.
It does. Thankfully, this is not a habit forming drug. Like I said, it's already endogenous. It's something that's inside of you. And whenever you're dealing with the nonprofits and organizations that we do, it's pure medicine. It comes straight from the toad itself. It's something a toad excretes as like a protection for itself. But
this is like licking the frogs.
Yeah, it's a real thing. Yes, that is a real thing.
Licking the frogs. Now I know what it is. Okay, we're good.
That's where that comes from. Yes.
So I have to look into that one. I would want to go to Puerto Vallarta just to go to Puerto Vallarta. It has nothing to do with
that's our retreat in October. That's what she's talking about.
Nothing to do with tripping. That would just be fun to go to Puerto Vallarta.
Yeah, and it's not a plant medicine retreat. It's a 5-day advanced breathwork retreat we're doing.
Okay, so it's just breathwork there. It's not licking frogs.
Yes. Yeah, you're good. You're good. You're gonna get high on your own DMT.
I don't have to lick frogs there now. All right, fair
enough.
No
licking frogs, no smoking anything.
But I love my wife. My wife, if I told her hey, in October we're going to Puerto Vallarta to, do breath work and yoga type stuff, my wife would be the one to be like, fuck yeah, let's do it. Because she's very open to that kind of stuff. I've got some hippy dippy daughters. My sons would probably be like, what are you doing? Because my sons are a lot like me. My sons are like me. They'd be like, fuck you doing? I'm like, I'm going there.
Where's my dad?
You're going to hang blinds. I'm going to do this. But absolutely. So I want to get back because we do have to close it up at some point here. We're keeping the bar open a little bit longer tonight. But so what is the goal with the non-for-profit? And it's a 501c?
Yeah. 501c3.
So we're not just calling it a non-for-profit. It's a legit 501c3. But what is the goal? And that, I think, is important for a lot of people to understand and know. But what is the goal within the non-for-profit?
Yeah. So the goal for Warriors for Life America is to be that comprehensive network. And I never wanted to be the one that was like, this is the way, this is all that you can do with us type of thing. So with us, there's yoga, breath work. If what I do doesn't resonate with you as a brother or a sister, I know a network and team of people like Heroic Path to Light, Church of Sacred Synthesis, all of these amazing organizations. So essentially, we're a comprehensive network that has several modalities or natural ways of healing that we can help, you know, trauma-informed yoga that I teach, all those types of things.
You all right?
Yeah. So we're basically connecting people to that healing that they've been looking for that they didn't even know was available.
That's incredible.
Especially for us, right? You get out of the
Right.
military and they don't tell you these things. They don't tell you to go do trauma-informed yoga. They don't tell you to do breath work. Here's your pills. You know, now they're moving into some of these new modalities, but they do not tell you the things that we afford for our veterans and for our active military that we have available. So that's what we wanted to be, is that connector. What are you dealing with? If you don't like what we have to offer, don't worry about it. We have a network of people we are going to connect you to.
That's awesome, brother. I mean,
yeah.
I've had some folks on here. I had a gentleman, he had a foundation, 22 a day, Vet Lives Matter, and he was hiding it. And
yeah,
he hid it and told everybody he was fine, and he took his life. And he was a guest on the show. Dibs, who's a good friend of mine, we talk about this stuff often. He used to be my co-host, but you know, this is look, for any vet that's out there, I don't care if you were a combat vet, if you just served. I mean, I tell people all the time, I never saw combat. But I will tell you, I was sitting right next to a CH-53 Echo helicopter when a kid didn't have the right stands underneath of it and knocked the pin out of it and got sucked up into the landing gear and cut it in half. And he was right next to me. I'll tell you about launching a 53 in AVI, launching a 53. I was a staff sergeant. Walking away, as I'm walking away from the bird, I'm 2 spots away from it, and I hear something, and I look back, and it's tilted on its side as one of the landing gear sucked up into it. The switch, something happened. One guy got a big hunk out of his leg, and I was the last guy off the bird. So my mind goes to, what did I miss? Was there something I did? Was there something that I should have done? All that kind of shit. So those of you that are out there that are hearing this, don't think because you didn't see combat, you didn't have something. Hell,
right.
I spent 12 of my 20 years on recruiting duty. I sent more kids into the service, well over a battalion of Marines into the service, kids who saw real combat. My first son, I have 8 kids, many of them are stepchildren, but my first biological son, his name is Tyler because he's named after Tyler Katolka, who was the first kid I put into the Marine Corps who saw combat and came home.
Nice.
That's where his name comes from.
Love that.
So for those of you that hear this, please don't think that your story is less because it doesn't sound like something out of a movie, something out of a TV series or book, because whatever your case was. You know, if you were the guy that drove a 5-ton out of the motor pool and had to take it into an area just to check the brakes, and your pucker factor was up because of that, because you had to go outside of the wire to do those things, you still did something, brother.
Amen.
You know,
amen.
I try to get that through guys' heads all the time.
Yeah.
So
no matter what, you've been through basic training, right? That's a fucking traumatic experience by itself.
That's a whole different thing. But and look, you've got some great people here, man. I mean, Coherent Heart has been with us since before the show started. I don't know who you are, but thank you so much.
Brandy. That's one of my favorite people.
Leland has created the most loving community. This is my new family. Paul says he is a true brother. When I say I got you, I got your 6, he truly means it. Proud to be part of this family. If somebody wanted to find you, get a hold of you, be part of this, how can they do that?
Yeah. So easiest way is you could always email me and reach out to thewillfulwarrior@gmail.com. We also have our YouTube channel, The Willful Warrior. Just type it into YouTube and you'll find us. And then we have our website, which is thewillfulwarrior.org. It's not a non-for-profit, but but we're working on getting the .com side of things right now.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And I got to hook you up with our friend of the show, Cody Wassel, who is America's Joy something, but she does I always mess it up and she gets mad. She doesn't get mad at me because she doesn't know how to. It's not transcendence is what I used to call it. Transcendental dancing.
Yeah.
Like,
love it. Yeah.
And
love it.
She just did like joy retreats out here. The two of you together with what you're doing and what she's doing, I could see a lot of good inner healing outside of the 15 pills that the VA wants to give you,
right?
And all the other bullshit,
Yeah.
brother.
Yeah.
Look, folks, if you're finding me through Leland or finding Leland through me, make sure you're going out and you're finding the Willful Warrior. Like I said earlier on in the show, he's on LinkedIn, he's on Facebook, he's on Instagram, giving all those things a follow, giving all those things, a like. It may seem very minor to you, but the way these algorithms work, they see those hits and they jump. There's 1,000 of you on Instagram that follow me, and 1,200 or 1,300 of you on Facebook. If just a 10% of you go and give him a like and a follow, that means something to his organization. That starts boosting it. It starts creating an algorithm, whether you like it or not. I want you to do that for him. And the same thing on the other way. If you're finding me through Leland, taking that moment, following us on YouTube, those of you that have been watching on us on YouTube, on Facebook, taking a moment and going on to Apple and giving us a 5-star rating. It may seem silly, like the kid stuff, like, share, and follow for my, what's the one? Cocomelon. It might seem silly, but the reality of it is that's how these algorithms work. That's how it pushes things forward. That's why if you look at the name of this show, it's What is Breathwork? How can breathwork heal? Because people search out podcasts the way they search on Google. That's why we name things the way we do. So take that time and do those things for both of us. Again, it makes that much of a difference. Now, next week, it's still another service member. We're going to shift some gears, literally. We have Zip Simmons on, and we're talking muscle cars next week. That's another healing thing.
I'll be there.
Brother, there's nothing more cathartic than fixing something. I believe that completely because there's a result at the end of it. And I sold my 1980 Camaro 2 years ago, and the guy reached out to me and sent me pictures of it. He took the whole motor out and put a new motor in, put a 400 big block into it. Brother, it just sounds like a monster. And Brandy, thank you so much. Yes, I'm following you because of Leland supporting our heroes. Thank you so much, Brandy. I appreciate you. Now, don't log off on me, Leland.
I'm right here, brother. I'm right here. And really quick, for any of you veterans out there, don't suffer in silence, bro or sis. Stop it. We're here. Reach out to Sean. Reach out to me. Reach out to somebody. Call the suicide hotline. Don't suffer in silence.
Don't do it. Now, we have a tradition here on the show there, Leland. And I know this is episode like 190 something. So you've listened to all 190 some episodes.
Of course
so
I did.
I mean, I know it. I mean, so you know what's about to happen. That's my dickhead thing I'm saying. But we have a tradition here on the show. The guest always gets the final word. So what is the final word there, Leland?
The final word is I love each and every one of my brothers and sisters. And the more that we can come together like we're doing here because of Sean, the more we can do this work together. I've got your 6 and always will.
Alrighty, folks. Be sure to push your stool in. This has been a Second Front podcast presentation found on Apple, Spotify, and wherever podcasts can be found.